Hello there. A couple of moments as usual. Afternoon. Okay, so it's 4 o'clock. We can get started. Yeah, market's just all over the place at the moment. A lot of the times, good a guess of mine, it's just jumping around. Look at the NAS over the last couple of hours. Came off a bit, started going up. Dollar suddenly strengthened, should be an adverse on that one. The yields again have gone up, which is negative for the NAS. So the NAS decided to go up. You know what I'm saying? They're negative for the NAS, but the NAS goes up. This is getting ridiculous now. Yeah, now I think it's probably more or less the same, jumping all over the place. It's completely, nobody knows out there. That's coming down nicely. That's jumped up. Total decision on the 1 hour, all over the place. You got your trades, stick with them. Let's not get too cute. There's no real stuff coming out in the economic front. Let's have a look now. Let's look at the US. Yeah, the pending home sales slightly preferable, just above expected. Give a little bit of a boost to the dollar. Oil interest coming up as forward. We're not in oil at the moment. Some people might still be a bit more taking profit on that. But as I say, jumping around. That's after opening, not even during the day. It doesn't know where it's going to go. So bottom line is it's pretty crazy out there, as you can see. Mentioned earlier on, we might get a chance of shorting something. It's gone right back to entry again on Microsoft. If you still believe the downside, that gives you an opportunity to enter if you want to do a share. There's a Microsoft. I think we can do one on there. I'm still in it, as you can probably guess. It's been nice in a profit, jumped up again. Pound dollar, we looked at earlier on as a trade idea. Did very well, came back down to nicely round the round figure, bounced right up to the line there, quite on it, and then decided to come back down again. And I don't know, it's just look at that. And down, indecision, comes down, and then suddenly goes up. It doesn't know what to do. Dollar strengthening, what's it doing there? Guess as good as mine. Okay. So that's just a bit of quick go through at the moment. Sit tight. Hope you got your volumes right. Hope you got your stops loss in place. Basically, don't stare at it and get yourself in a mental up and down with it in the markets. But do what it does. We got, and just see what happens. As simple as that. Unless you can make head or tail of this, because it's getting increasingly difficult. It doesn't know any direction. But we have that. It's something. It's basically untradeable at the moment. Yeah, it's not a moment. It's stating these times come. And now we've got the bigger picture, macroeconomic area discussing about. Watching a video earlier on saying it's becoming more and more. I've been talking about macro interference rather than indicators. Indicators seem to be becoming not these indicators. I'm talking about the MACD stochastics are becoming less and less part of the equation. It's more what the macroeconomic emotion situations out there is affecting it. Tossing a coin at the moment. I don't mind being wrong, but I just frustrated me. It just doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? It's like going around in reaching circles. Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm happy for you. It's okay. But the point is, it's for an overall direction. It starts walking there and turns back and then goes back again. It's back and forth, back and forth. Just, at the moment, it's just not on. I saw actually an article about gold. Just like to read out to you. A little bit of interest. Just get these two things out of the way. In the meantime, if you want to post a trade or discuss, interrupt me. It's just out of interest. You might have it anyway. Let's see what he's got to say here. Gold prices. Gold is everyone's favorite trade when terms like crisis, credit crunch, and recession begin dominating the headlines, just like we're seeing right now. The precious metal has been on an unstoppable run, rallying from the 1800 level at the beginning of March to $2,000 now. Or, well, not now, but I mean $2,000. Not once, twice, but 3 times this month, notching up an impressive gain of 10%. Its biggest monthly gain for a while. Okay, now following that's number 4 consecutive weeks of gains. Gold prices have pulled back on routine end of quarter profit taking. Fair enough. As traders square up their positions. Now, as they get out of their position and square up. Okay, ready to capitalize on the precious metals next big move. Right. Is the rally over? Has all the money been made? Next thing, not by a long shot. A few weeks ago, economists were convinced the global economy was powering ahead. Sorry, slow shedding. Now they predict a deep recession is on the way. As a domino effect, the collapse of several prominent banks in Silicon Valley, Signature Bank, and the implosion of Credit Suisse. When the macroeconomic conditions change rapidly, so does the market narrative. That's what I've been saying. Let Betty in here. Right, where is that? Banking prices are almost never resolved in weeks or months. This is me reading this out. So I've been saying, it's a US thing. Right? The consequences can last for years, if not decades, triggering a sequence of events which can send the economy spiraling from crisis to crisis. Well, that's a little bit over the top, but anyway, we'll see. As a result, this month, the market narrative has shifted from no landing to hard landing. Again, what have I been saying? This in itself presents a huge bullish tailwind for precious metals. But here's where, just a second, here's where the bullish case for precious metals gets even stronger. When banks face instability as they are now, they tend to become increasingly conservative. This is important, forget this sometimes. They're more selective with loans, and they often increase the interest rates on the loans they do offer. In other words, it's easy to get a loan, and now it's more difficult. That's another problem. These tighter lending conditions can make capital extremely difficult to come by. Remember, as I said many times, we live on debt. We don't buy 20,000, 50,000 gram products upwards on cash. We buy it on debt, deposits, same thing. So extremely difficult to come by for individuals and businesses. In other words, sparking a global credit crunch. That means business, a back and stand business, they can't sell their product because the guy can't get the loan. And how many times do you guys, you want to buy something like 40, 50, 30 grand? You lay out cash, some of you might, most people don't. They put a deposit down. And you're saying, right, well, we want a bigger deposit and we want higher interest rates. You might just put it out of your range. So you don't buy the product. So lay people off, the business doesn't do well. It's a knock-on effect. Last week, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell confirmed that banking industry stress could trigger a credit crunch, seems to be happening at the moment, with significant implications resulting in stricter lending, making it extremely hard for individuals and businesses to qualify for loans, mortgage and credit. Powell concluded by saying tighter lending conditions will have the same unintentional slowing effect on inflation the rate hike can have. The whole point of actually lowering interest rates to get people to borrow to buy stuff that leads to inflation. By not lending the money out or higher interest rates for the lender, not the bank of, not the Fed, and the lender itself, will have that effect. Hope you're with me on that. This scenario is traders convinced the Fed will cut interest rates later this year. Let's say the Fed will, that's what the traders think. Interesting, as the Fed inches closer to the end of their current rate hike cycle, the ECB, European Central Bank, has only just started. ECB rate hikes will enviably strengthen the euro and inverse weaken the US dollar, which itself presents yet another bullish tailwind for precious metals, etc. Whether you were looking at it, whichever way you look at it, one thing is clear. The case for precious metals is in a well-diversified portfolio has never been more obvious than it is right now. Where are prices heading next? Well, we don't know. But anyway, I thought that might be of interest, that article. Okay, so yeah. Now, does that mean, okay, that's fantastic, let's jump in and buy gold? Well, not exactly. I do believe in the buy. I quite agree with that. But I still think we might get a better price. So it's hovering around at the moment. Like everything is sort of directionless. It's like walking around with a blindfold on, I suppose, best way to describe it. But if it does come back to these levels, around the 1950, or even better, around about this area, 40 to 50 area seems to hold, I think we've got a good buying opportunity to attack the 2000 again, and then we'll have a look at the situation if it gets there. So I think there's some optimism on the buy gold front coming up. Just keep an eye on it. Right, that's my take on that one. Going back to the NAS, I ended up just now drifting around, propping out indecision, not quite sure whether to go up, come down, or wherever. I cannot see the sustained move up. There's not a fundamental in sight that can maneuver that up there. I think that's more of a bull trap before it comes off. My opinion. Pain in the backside, well, it's for me, so it must be for you. Stick with it and just hope that it comes off. GBP USD, like I mentioned, is now shooting back up again, all over the bloody place. Don't know it's coming again. A couple of things came out of the Panagon watch, but it wasn't that major importance. It just bouncing around like a yo-yo. Okay, let it run. You got your stop loss and TP in. And that's about all I can add to the moment. The dollar CAD, it should start to recover a bit because the dollar's going up. But what it's doing down there, God alone knows. I certainly do not. But maybe it'll get some bounce back up again. Why is the Canadian suddenly so strong? Not just the oil, it's just, well, look, the dollar's strengthening a bit. But again, I'm looking at the 3 on the hourly, and again, it's pumped up and it's coming off. This is about as tough as it gets, guys. Stick it out, do your learning. This is a good time when you can learn stuff, pick stuff up, and fight your way through the tough times when the easier times come. But as I say, the trading's changed very much over the years, and purely technical. Now it's getting more and more fundamentally involved. And yeah, and I still say I'm sticking to it that this market worldwide is an accident waiting to happen. And the sooner it gets sorted out and done, hopefully on board for it in the short, then we go back to bargain hunting and some sanity might prevail. Okay, sorry to start out on that note. I'm glad you made a couple of dollars there, but it is frustrating. I mean, I decided to hold on to my positions, not to be sent probably too quickly. Looks like we should take the bloody thing now. There's a nice big fat profit. Now it's been salted away. I didn't move. I thought I'm going to stick this out, you know, and do it properly, not just quick profits. Now that I've come back bitten and almost wish I'd done, just take the bloody thing. But anyway, I've stuck with that strategy, see what happens, and hopefully tomorrow comes back. I haven't been stopped out in any of them, but it's just a bit frustrating. I'm not talking specifically about me, but perhaps talk the market generally. You know what I'm saying. But I think opportunities are there. I think opportunities will come up in shares. If you don't want to do it now, maybe not much free margin, or you're a bit nervous at the position you got at the moment, then leave it alone. I have no problem with that. But I still think this is opportunity for a sell. I think it's bounced back up. I don't know what's going to drive it up there. I don't know what's. I have no idea why that should happen. Completely no. And believe me, you think, well, I should know. Well, I listen to Bloomberg a lot, and the guys on there scratching their heads pretty much. And these guys, you know, billionaire hedge fund guys, they're scratching their head a bit with it.
But you see, Roger, sorry for the interruption. I'm looking at my market watch, and all the tech shares is jumping up by approximately 1.5%. No wonder the NAS is also going up. There's some positiveness in the market, and I don't know what is driving it.
The positive is clearly because the price is going up. That's indisputable. Point is, the last question, what is driving it? I think it's emotional relief that they stepped in with the banks, like I just read that article. That's, to me, a short-term fix. The problem is still there. And because of that worry, they're going to start tightening it up. You know, if they start tightening it up, that should strengthen the dollar and weaken those those markets there, because now your Apple, what's an Apple top of the line phone cost? About 20,000-30,000. I don't use Apple, but I'm assuming it's around about that level. How many guys go out and pay cash? Maybe a lot of people do. But I tell you what, I know America, been there for a while, but I know of it, been there many times a few years ago. And if you go and walk into a hotel or anywhere and you pay cash, they look you up and down, they go to the bank, check you out, think about it from prison, or you might be on the run, or there's something weird about you. Everybody pays by card, that sort of thing. You know what I'm saying? Credit card, and they have hordes of them. So that, in theory, should be a negative. And I just think it's a bull trap. Short term, a bit of excitement, rushing to it. I think they're going to get caught up. And then, like the Bitcoin guys and some of the other guys who get caught up in the Ferrari and start buying at the highs, like guys bought at $2,000, and which is just as well. You had them there because guys are selling at $2,000 to take profit. Good thing you got some buyers out there who will be stuck in it as it came off. But yeah, so I think there's some guys just getting a bit excited, carry away on the banking aspect. It's the problem is still there. It's just you put a plaster on it, but it's covering it up. You know what I mean? That's what I think anyway. I don't know if you can see something I can't, or you have a completely opposite point of view. But at the moment, obviously, a market is traded by people. So obviously, some people buying it. Have they got a rationality behind it, or just think that's going up, I'll buy it? Might be a few of those, but on a rational basis, you're a clever guy, Farney. Pretty sure the others are Mark and Marius, Anne, and a few guys there. Yeah,
but maybe it's also the influence of the artificial intelligence that they start trading. I got no idea. I can't make head or tail of this whole situation. Why is the CAD all of a sudden strong against all the currencies? What happened?
No, I agree with you.
That doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. But I have to say, you might. There's some major point, but it might have a bit of a point. It might be these AIs, expert advisors, robots, call them what the hell you like. It might be a bit of that where guys are just saying, because they program now algorithms which are technicals, and maybe it says, oh yes, this stochastic is showing an upside. We'll buy it. Never mind what's happening around the world. That actually might have a point there. Maybe it's the robots because they don't know, they don't think, they don't worry. They just say, oh, hang on, that's a bit of a cross from a 5 to a 15. Well, it would if the price goes up. So that'll just encourage more people to buy into it. Yeah, being as it may, I'm scratching, as you can say. And to be honest with you, I feel for you guys because it sounds like it's frustrating. And even if you've been around it for a while, like I and some of you guys have, the new guys coming in, they probably want to hit them. This is it. It's not your fault. It is not your fault. Spend this time to learn, get some knowledge, and so you're ready and poised to do it when the easier time comes in. Because yeah, times like this is completely point, protect your chances, and even then, you know, it's tails 1 minute and then it trots around and heads the next. You know what I mean? Go back to GBP USD. I mean, you know, at least in a roulette table, it's either red or black, finish and sodding car. It's not red. Oh, hang on, it's black. Oh no, hang on, it's red again. Oh no, hang on, it's black. You get my point. Laugh out loud, yeah. I mean, I'll give you an idea. We've got. I won't look at this for 10 minutes. And they will all ask, "Do we know where it's gone?" Guarantee not one of us the slightest clue. That's not good. We don't know the extent where it is, but we should have an indication that it's coming down. And we look back at it, it should actually be increasing its downward pressure, not suddenly downward pressure then up. I don't know. It's going to go for it. I haven't a cooking clue. I mean, all I know, go shooting out, go down there. When it gets like that, I think, hang on, I've got my stops, TPs, but I get more than wary. I get pretty damn nervous, to be honest. Because there's no point having years of expertise if it's a complete, what do you look at it? Crystal ball gazing at the moment, total crystal ball gazing. And it's not just me, it's a lot of the guys out there are saying the same. Watching some articles on Bloomberg and a few YouTube, whatever. Not trying to sell you some, you know, experts who know this stuff. And they say, flick the coin and takes your chance a lot of the time. Yeah. So yeah, not being negative, I'm trying to point out this happens. So actually it's supposed to be a positive to say it's not your fault, stick it out. We're all having a bit of a problem that's jumping around, but it might come out in our favor. So let's see if it does. It's slightly negative. It was a positive a couple of hours ago, around the 1, 2, 3 area, popped up and less than the 15 on 15 now. Seem to be hopping around this range. The guys don't know it's a long or a short. That's what's happening. That I think is mostly people getting in and out, shoving that around the moment. No specific direction. I haven't looked at the rand dollar for once. Look at that. The rand dollar at the moment. Around the 18. I think with the dollar strengthening, there's a good chance if it gets back to 18 or just below that, that might give an opportunity to buy it actually. But to remember, you need some money for that because the high margins and high costs involved. So don't jump in with small money too much. But say, yeah, I bet the dollar's coming off. So I bet this is, no, I thought it would be going up because the dollar's coming off. That's how ridiculous it is. But no, anyway. So what I said, stick with it. It's just sure. Okay, look at even NGAS. That was right down. It's a 50-minute chart, right down here at one stage. What's this now? It says 2.2. Oh yeah, that's right, 2.24. Sorry, it was right down here at 2, just over 2 at one stage earlier on. What the hell's that doing down there? You know, I mean, that's ridiculous. It's got some value. So yeah, look at the NAS back up again, back up to 12.8. Look at the NAS on opening, a 15 pip range on a 15-minute chart after opening. What the heck's that? American markets are opening, and it's a 15 pip range. That's ridiculous. And it's not
So
even.
Mark, you are a IT guy. What do you think about the IA possibilities?
I think I might have a point there. What do you think, Mark?
Sorry, just getting my headset sorted out. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, AI is only as good as what's programmed into it. You know, it's kind of a misnomer in that it's not actually intelligent.
Exactly.
It's just being fed basically a ton of data. So it can seem intelligent when you ask it to do things. And I mean, I've watched a couple of YouTube videos on it, and I've played with it a bit myself as well. I try to get it to build me some expert advisors for MT5. You know, telling it to like take a stochastic and a MACD and an RSI and this EMA and that EMA, and it very nicely explains exactly what each one does. And of course, it also starts off with the whole disclaimer, you know, about how risky forex trading is. But it can never actually produce anything usable.
No, I'm
So
afraid
it gives it this whole lovely big script. And then I go plug it, and it's like, you know, about 50, 60 errors on it.
Yep. Gonna go along with that. AI.
Yeah, and I think there are bots out there that are doing it, but that's the big boys. That's the BlackRocks and those guys, you know, where they've got teams of coders sitting there just pumping away at this and refining it. And I think those definitely do influence the market. You know, with the sort of volumes that these guys are doing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think I agree with you 100%. Because I mean, if they just put in a differential of 2 or 5 pips, buy and sell, and is that a possibility? Because I got no idea. It's just a matter of fact that they don't know whether it needs to go up or down. Looking at your candles.
Sorry, I had to interrupt there. Finally, you stumbled on it. Quite right. The guys, these hordes of bloody IT boffins programming it, virtually no cost. Not program costs a lot. I'm talking about the brokerage costs because they work with the institution, so they don't have to worry about brokerage costs. You can take 2 pips, 1 pip, 3 pips. It's profit to the company, sort of thing. That's exactly what they do. You're quite right. So you're both spot on that, and I think that might have something to do with it. And as mentioned earlier on by myself and Mark, they program in a stochastic crossing a moving average or whatever the hell they do with these algorithms. That it's not thinking; it's just programmed that way. For instance, I'm not intelligent because I happen to know that Ina Sharp was played by Violet Carson in Coronation Street. I mean, because it was in the UK all those years ago. You weren't, so you wouldn't know that. It's nothing to do with intelligence. Happened to be there, and you weren't. I guarantee everyone said talk about Isidingo in the UK, they'll look at you blankly. I don't do their unintelligence or I'm not clever. You are. It's just because you hadn't been programmed with that program from the way of putting it. So it's not really intelligent. They're not working or thinking it out. I mean, they can have a fat non-farm payroll coming in, and the stochastic is at 30% sits in the low, so they'll program to buy it for argument's sake, not knowing there's a CPI or some fundy coming out to knock it the opposite way. So yeah, but I think that's got something to do with it. I'll be honest with you. I think you might have stumbled upon something because a hell of a lot of people, especially newer guys, are trying that out because they're not taking the trouble to learn themselves, and that could just be pushing it for that reason. And we're scratching here. We don't know. We're just throwing these ideas out because, as I say, that's using experience and hopefully a little bit of intelligence. It is not really conforming to any rationality, and that's when that happens. Can't take positions out because they're sitting there, leave them to run. But I start getting nervous and loath to go for other ones because of these nonsensical movements. And as I say, we're not alone here, so just bear that in mind. So this is a good time to learn and practice, get an idea. So when it does get sense back in, which will come, no doubt about that, and then we're ready to hit the ground running. Okay, well, it's trying to come down, so maybe it will get get rid of these AIs or whoever's doing this bloody silly thing and start coming to the party. Okay, but you quite need a human to program it. Absolutely, I agree. I usually what I do, but I think it's a long way off proper artificial intelligence where we can think, have emotions, like a robot bursting into tears because it's female robots walked out for another male robot. They don't even got there yet. Sorry, Fan, you were saying?
No, I'm glad everybody is feeling this, or us are feeling the same way, because I mean, I just hope that my money will last until there's some sense of back into the markets. This is driving me totally nuts.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah, and that's another point. That's why even more so equity management now is the name of the game, not trying to shoot the lights out to make a quick profit. This is very much about conserving equity management. Absolutely. Lorenzo, you've been away for a while. You've been back. What do you think? Do you see much sense in all this carrying on? Maybe you're spotting something I'm missing yet. I agree, Mark. Yeah. You live in a beautiful city, go and get a pub lunch instead of trying to fathom out the market. Having a couple of beers and a pub lunch is a better headache than screw yourself up rather than trying to make sense out of nonsense. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Where do you live in Cape Town, by the way, Mark? I was going to ask you before, I've forgotten. Oh, Rondebosch. Okay, yeah. Know that area well. I used to live in that part of the world years ago. I don't know about you, but we're starting to see some movement down. Maybe it'll last. Maybe get some direction at last. What's the Dow doing? Actually, I really enjoy the trading room, except when these sort of funny things happen. Because I particularly feel, actually, to be honest, not just for you guys, but for the newer guys as well, because they've got stuff to learn, and then suddenly find the teachers are battling a bit to understand it. That doesn't build confidence. I can bullshit you and say, oh, well, this, that, make it up, sound nice and scientific. You might see through it funny and Mark you've been doing it for a while, but we do that. But I think rather just be straight and say, these things happen, go figure.
No, it's true, but I mean, the guys are spending a lot of time learning the technicals and so forth, the various type of candles, and then the norm is if that candle appears, this will happen. It will either go up or down, and then it's not happening, and they can't understand what's cooking.
I couldn't have put it
I mean,
better.
I can
Yeah.
understand that because it's baffling me as well.
Yeah, well, I've been doing it for a few years, and yeah, me as well. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. They sit down there and they're disciplined. They do their studies. We've got a morning star now, should move up, or an evening star should move down. Yes, that's a nice bullish engulfing candle. That's fine. Yes, the stochastic now is rising above 30%. That's crossing there. We're having a look at the MACD. That's all right. And the relative strength's looking pretty good. The oscillator's saying upward movement. Yeah. And they're pretty clever. They got these things going. And they go into it. And then suddenly it jumps around all over the place. No wonder they get confused. They say to me, what am I doing wrong? I say, don't worry, mate, not doing anything wrong. The market is drunk, very, very paralytically, I'm trying to think of the Hussein, that's right. I have to go there, I forgot to it. Completely Hussein. That's what I heard years ago. Stake the cape in shape, that sort of thing.
Yeah, we call it Horis dronk.
Yeah. He's drunk, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Okay.
think I got now a new one. Instead of it's calling it BS, is BG, Biden Group.
Biden. Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's dangerous to get into politics because people get very emotional on it. But anybody with an IQ and thinking processes is going to turn around and say, he might have been a good guy 20 years ago. Who knows? He wouldn't have, clearly wouldn't have got as far as he did if he was a half-wit. But at the moment, it's not his problem, but it's all the faculties aren't 100%. That's clearly obvious. I mean, yeah. I mean, I feel sorry for him, but at the same time, I don't want that to be in charge of the United States because it's such a powerful position.
But what is bad is that his party is using him, and it's not right because a guy cannot be accountable for his current responsibilities.
Yeah, exactly, and exactly. They're using him, and his sort of mental frailties. He can't, and it's just it's not right. But they people are passing or whatever. But it's I mean, anything that a person knows we talk about, not particularly Republican or Democrat, they're not trying to sell you a narrative because they're that specific, that type of politics and belief. Just saying the guy's just not up to it. In fact, they say Buchanan, much about him many years ago, but I was reading it after Buchanan, he's probably the worst president in United States history. Not unpopular. Trump was unpopular, and so was Lincoln, but I don't think they were that bad, despite what people feel about the person. But this guy is hopeless. And look at that ridiculously giggling, almost like a horse. Kamala Harris. I mean, supposed to be doing something about the border, and she never been there. And then she went up there, and she went to the wrong border and started making comments on it till I found out that quietly somebody in the air, one of the border guys there, quietly in their ear. That's not where we are now. We're somewhere else. She didn't even know what place she was. But she's got her marbles about. She's just going up there on a sales pitch and hadn't done her homework properly. She's far from stupid. It's just that she's an opportunist. Simple as that. So yeah, as I say, from a political point of view, unless Michelle Obama runs or somebody comes out in the woodwork we never heard of, can't see next year how it can't be a change of government. And that's why they're panicking and trying to indict Trump because they're scared. They're scared, excuse my language, shitless of him. That's why they're pulling out the stops and making fools of themselves. Say, paid some woman prostitute a few years ago, that's not exactly ruined the economy of the country. He even denies he did that, but even if he did, who bloody cares? It's his business, you know.
But last comment from my side, I currently think that we do not have any global leaders. If you just look at all the big countries, I think they manipulate it as far as possible to politically to stay in power. I don't know. They're not good people
They're not good people. That's exactly it.
in the sense that they are not capable.
That's exactly it. Before they do any form of legislation that might be worthwhile, they check to see if it's popular or not. If it's not popular, then push it through. And if it is popular, they'll push on that, even though it's basically a costly waste of time. That's exactly it. There's no real leaders out there. And sometimes, to be honest, to be fair, I think, because it always reminds me of Colin Powell, or Colin Powell, it's pronounced, the general in the First Gulf War. A lot of people pushed him to become president. I think it would have been a good one. But as he said, I'm happy to do that, but I'm not happy to put my wife and kids through this kind of shenanigans. And I think that's frightened a lot of people off. Finally, you might be able to take it, but never mind even your wife, but never mind you got a son of maybe 10 or 15, like Barron was, son of Trump, when he was about 15 or whatever his age was. They get stuck in with the most awful comments about him. Well, that, that's, they don't want to put themselves through that. You know what I mean? Nail me, but not my bloody family. You know what I'm saying? So I think that frightens off some of the good guys. So you get too many bloody charlatans coming. Yeah, as I mentioned, Anne-Marie, Wilton Light, yeah, there you are. There you are, Mark, exactly. And he blatantly lied about it, yeah. And even then, I think maybe I'm a bit morally working my morals somewhere. I think upsetting for the wife, maybe, but I don't think it's a critical difference the worldwide economic and power needed at that position. You know what I mean? But still, nothing happened there. You're quite right. Well, if Biden's thing wrong, remember the mainstream media own that sort of setup, they won't report it. But if Trump picks his nose, then of course, then it's all over the world. You've got to shake somebody's hand or something, and it took about 20 hours of news or something ridiculous on the left-wing channels. Ridiculous. Anymore, it's just narrative and propaganda. CNN's down to 400,000 people now. 702 in this little country over here gets bigger ratings than that. By the way, millionaires leaving. This is the major problem, Anne-Marie. I think I mentioned this before, or you say it again. Just over 160,000 people in the 60 million people in South Africa pay about 30% of the taxes. So if Joe Soap unemployed leaves, it doesn't make much difference. One of those guys leave, it makes a disproportionate difference, and that's the issue. That's the hassle. Or they're taking their business overseas for tax purposes and things like that. Absolutely. It's a serious worry. They take their skills and employment and their entrepreneuriality with them, really. Anyway, it's trying to come down. It's trying to come down. What's the GBP USD doing? It's trying to come down. I don't know about the GBP CAD. I got so sick and tired of it. I took the bloody thing. I took it in the end. I took it a bit earlier. I was just so sick of it. That's emotion. I thought, I'll be honest with you guys. I thought, well, no, I say to you, maybe hold on, it's doing well, blah, blah, move stop. And I did move the stop. And I just thought, bouncing around again, I can take any more of this. So I took it. Didn't make much, but at least it was a blue, not a red. And it came right in the end. But after being stuck with it, battling around, an emotional tantrum, I sod it, hit the close button. So I'm glad you have a bit more discipline, Mr. Vicky. I can't get this right. Dale, I can't pronounce his name. Dale, no, I can't do it. Mr. Vicky. Yeah, probably.
Roger, but I think the problem isn't the GGP, it's the CAD, because I don't know, the CAD is up and down, it's all the way around. You can see that with all the CAD trades.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were in for a short there on, and it's just upside down.
Yeah. Still got a few CAD trades as we speak. Yeah, that CAD is weakening for some reason. Yeah. Remember, it's the AUD's going up, so that means the CAD's weakening. Don't forget that way around. Yeah, incredible. With Microsoft, I still think it's a trade, guys. I don't know if you're just so sick of this market, you don't want to do it, or we haven't got any money left, or we have no free margin. I still think it's a trade. Maybe a decent stop, maybe a little bit wider, maybe a stop at 290 or something. I still think there's a possibility here. Where's this area here? A bit far away. Maybe is that too far? Maybe 290 something. Take it down here. I think it's a possibility of a trade. I still think that, but I wouldn't blame you if I'm so sick of the bloody market. I think I'll just wait till it sorts itself out. But if you want to take a stab of it, guys, I think a short on Microsoft would be one of the better ones to trade. Remember, it's not as popular as Apple, so I think that might be a better one. Yeah, at least Vicky, you got the discipline there. Good stuff. Modify your stop, make sure, and ride it's doing well. And that was one of my trades, so quite pleased about that. You have a lot of judgments coming right here. Yeah, but do you want to leave the Microsoft, anybody, or do you want to do it? And as you know, starting to turn a bit blue. I'm just sitting at the bottom of the screen now. I was up about $1,000 at one stage, or in fact, I held on to it. Well, just back in the blues, and I read a moment or two ago. I still don't think it's going to come right. You're gonna have a go, okay? I'll put a stop loss down for you. Just give me a second. If you can't use the calculator, remember that's the Excel one. Make it 290. There we are. So MSFT. You call it misfit. Make it at market. Something else, Jay, what does that mean? Well, I don't know what it means. It means at market. Make it 290. There we are. SL. Oh, sorry, I put the wrong place. Sorry, beg your pardon. SL 290. TP. How far is that down to 250? That should do. Yeah, make it around 250. If it gets better, well, move your TP, and we'll know how to do that. At the moment, that's about $10. Make it with costs. Make it around $11. So risk is $11, or call it a straight 200. Slightly less than that, to be honest, but rather err on the caution side. Make it 200 grand. Okay, I'm doing it as I'm typing it out as we speak. For 1.0 or 20 rand per 0.1. There you are. And we can extrapolate from there. Good word, that, eh? So 200 rand, but if you can't do 200, you want to do 100, obviously 0.5. So it's 20 rand. No, sorry, wrong one. I'm beating myself now. 0.1, not 0.01. Beg your pardon. Even that's wrong. Any typo. 0.1. Beg your pardon, guys. 20 rand per 0.1. It's 2 rand per 0.01. So don't be doing that. Pointless. So
sorry, Roger. Sorry, Roger. You can't trade it as half a share. It can only be 1 and higher.
Who said?
I've tried it just now.
Oh, well, I've never done a fraction share. I was told originally you could. Clearly, that's been taken out. Okay. I don't think know that. So if you try to put 1.5 in, you say 1.5, it won't take it. It's got to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that right?
I've just tried 0.1, 0.5, and 0.85, and nothing. And only when I put 1, it's taking it. Then I can do the trade.
I've got you. Gotcha. I think what's happened is because people not understanding it, like thought it was like Forex, we're getting 0.01. I think Jark's, what you call it? Can't be the right word. Admin it, programmed it a minimum of 1.0, I think. But I think you can do 1.5, 1.8. I think you can do that. But I say to stop the guys like an F stock, it's an $11 share getting 0.01, we just didn't know. Yeah, I think you might be able to do 1.5 because as far as I know, you can do fractional. Nobody's told me different. I haven't used it yet myself. I always go for round figures, but I was told that anyway. So I think if you want to do one and you can't afford 200 rand, leave it. But you might be able to do 1.5, which is 300. If 200 is too rich, well, that's tough. But
Okay, Roger, sorry. But for example, I've just tested it now on Amazon. I can trade 0.05.
okay,
Not 0.5, not 0.05, 0.5, half a share.
I think it's then clearly the reason being is it's been defaulted. I don't know why on Amazon, not on Microsoft, that's $100 and this is $280. So I don't know why that is. But maybe just program that and it's all unprogrammed. Go back to Anna Marie. Silver's nothing to do with it. Silver goes around the clock. It's commodities. Nothing to do with shares. You can do 0.01 on silver if you want. It's nothing to do with shares. We're talking about shares here. So yeah, that I'll have to. I'll just right here. I'll chat. Writing it down. Thanks for that. Okay. Well, there you are. But if before 200, I'm pretty sure try 1.5 before 300 rand risk or whatever is in dollars. Okay, if you like it.
Okay, thank you. I've just seen that Brent has started falling and the crude oil inventories is out.
Okay, this will be checked for you just a second. Thanks for reminding me. It's half past it comes out. Just get all the chat line out of the way. What's it say? Didn't give the forecast. The previous was down 1.06. The actual is minus 1.6. So in other words, from where I see it now, it's virtually no, it's down. That's right. There's less inventories. If it's less storage, to me that should indicate a little bit of demand, not a little, which means it should actually increase the price. But it's relegated to a 2.3 star, so that doesn't make much sense either. You know, supply and demand, lack of supply usually puts the price up. More supply puts the price down. So in theory, it should have been good for Brent. But I think sometimes a bit delayed on those inventories because there's so much bigger pictures on it than just the crude oil in the United States. It's a big part of it. Anyway, that being as it may, it seems to be coming off a bit. Discussed with Mandela a couple of times in here this morning and yesterday as regards looking to down. I'm going to stick with the $80, which the trade idea came out at whenever it came out last week, I think it was, or maybe longer now, which I suggested. And so I'm going to have to stick with that. But if it gets to 80, I'm happy the guys still in, hit the TP, but then I'll start looking maybe shorting it. I still would, even though it's come off a few cents, that's not enough for a short at the moment. I think I'll just stay whatever. I think I'll just stay clear of it anyway. Hit your stop loss because you modified it, Vicky. Did hit the stop loss, the original one, but nowhere near it. No, I haven't, Kevin. No, I haven't. What's this? Golden Mafia? I don't like the words mafia. Do you think it's been controlled by a mafia power now? No, I haven't. Yeah. Well, that doesn't surprise any of us, I'm afraid. Horrible thing to say, but it doesn't surprise any of us. Fortunately, getting older, as you get older, the more cynical you get, and the more you love your dog, eh? Okay, so if you want to do the Microsoft, there it is. Okay. Is the Dow start to come off a bit? I think it is. Still 15. Starting to, is the NAS coming off a bit? Oh, bloody long last it is. And that was something happened the other day. The NAS came off, the Dow went up. And that I very, very rarely remember seeing that happen. Anyway, that seems to be trying, very trying. Maybe the GBP USD is trying. Maybe we can break through 2.3 this time. What's the dollar doing? If you all got the dollar index, I'll post it for you in case you haven't. It's 2 seconds. Excuse me, you guys, don't let this frustration get you down. Just understand these things happen. It makes me feel better. I'm suffering with you.
Me too, definitely.
Even the Euro JPY, that was not so good. A sell, a 143. I think it got stopped out. Yeah, 75, it got stopped out, I think. Yeah. Don't know where it's going at. Got a bit of a pullback anyway. Leave the bloody thing alone now. There's so much dirt in the market. Yeah, I like that. And I think the stuff disclosed in there is partly why the market is so messed up. You share the link if you're interested in watching it. Might be an idea, share the link. Might be an idea there, Cody. Just print it on there and I'll certainly save it, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'll leave you to post that and then I'll just copy it. Okay, right. Where are we now? See, we can't get a trading goal. It's still starting to rise, though. Hoping for getting a pullback so we can join it. Anyway. And then again, look, gold's going up. The dollar's going up. What are the yields doing? All right, the yields have come off a little bit last hour. Okay, fair. No problem, Coney. No rush. Get it right. Oh, well done. Okay, I'm just going to click on that and save it. The laundry service, yeah. Yeah, I've saved it. There we are. Yeah, watch that after the show, after the 4 o'clock, 5:30 show. Okay, did anyone take that Microsoft or nobody like it? Interesting point there. Okay, thanks, Gary. Got a bit of support there. Okay, fine. Good stuff. Okay, GBP USD. Well, the signal said 19. Might also bring it up. Yeah, hang on. Signal said 19. Even it's due it, that bloody line, all right. Hey, that's all right. I drew it on the line chart, by the way. Yes, in other words, your answer. Sorry about that. Getting off the track a bit there. Drew on the line chart from back up here down there. So that's all right. Hey. Where are we now? Yeah, well, clearly, I mean, send a signal at 19. So why would I say no? Don't go into it now. I'm sticking with strategy. I'm in it now, and yeah, it's starting to come to a bit of profit. Hallelujah! Bit of blue on that. The more you moan and feel sorry for yourself, then something comes right. Eh? Just about to jump out the window. Things come. Get the call saying you won the lottery. Eh? Yeah, but yes, I like the trade. You got the signal there. Let's look at it here. Mailbox. In fact, it said 17, so it's a better price if you do it now. Stop loss TP. The risk is 150 bucks. Just remember that. Or 300 rand. You got the figures there. Depending on what you want to risk. Believe it or not, some guys still can't work out the volume with this information. That really baffles me. Okay, so we got there. So yeah, about 2 pips, 3 pips. But anyway, the point is, it's okay if you like it. Yeah, dance around a bit. What else is new? If you don't want something that dances around, you're in the wrong business. Okay, so there we are. Starting to come right. Thank goodness. One person with me did their first trade today on this, and always in the first trade, they ask me up and they do it. That's great. Just please go right to the poor person. Excited, new, heart thumping. I hope he goes right for. Yeah, leave Brent alone. Yeah, US dollar CAD was another one. A lot of jip on this one. maybe get a recovery here. We weren't stopped out, I don't think. I wasn't anyway. So see why you should be, because I'm in that myself. At 35.48. We came bloody close. Wow, it came close. Look at that. Wow, that came close. Anyway, it might come right. Okay. What, US dollar CAD? No. I would have blamed you if it got back to 136. I wouldn't have blamed you. I don't blame you chicken out either. Actually, I don't blame you either on that one. Okay, but it go back to you saying that, but AI, more think about it, that might be something to do with it. Because remember, as I say, quite right, they can't think, they just do what they're told.
Yeah, I really think I've read an article, and one of the older traders that's long in the game mentioned that with technology advance in such a speed, that's the thing of the future. We will remove all the emotions out of the market. So I'm not too sure about it, but bottom line is trying to understand why is two and two do not give me four. Against to what I learned, that doesn't make sense to me. And sorry, I'm too much analytical, and then I start looking at the problem by what did I do wrong? Did I do the analysis wrong? What the heck is going on?
Yeah, well, I'm afraid to say I agree, yeah. I personally think that AI will get to the stage where you can program it that to as a non-farm coming out in 24 hours or CPI or whatever, or something in that line where they might start reducing profit positions or something like that. I don't see why they can't program that part into it. But I don't know, I'm not an IT guy, but I still think we're a little far away from when they can think quite like humans can. I mean, I'll give you an example. I remember having a discussion in a local pub here about a good 12 years ago. Yeah, I think it was about, about 2010, 2011, something like that, maybe 2012. And the guy there in IT, and he says, we should be able to get a voice recognition on typing, that is, by about the next 4 or 5 years. Well, that was over 10 years ago, and it's still not good enough. If I rattle away at the moment, there's a lot of errors on when it comes to printing what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? It's not, they haven't quite got to the stage where I'm comfortable with that when I speak, it's not coming out as partly gobbledygook. You know what I mean? It's pretty good, but it's not quite printing exactly without checking it. But I think it will come, so you won't need a keyboard anymore. You can speak and it'll type at that speed, whatever accent you got. Anyway, come on, let's see if we can recover this damn thing. What's the GBP? What's the dollar still holding on? It's okay. It's coming off LGB. I don't know if you went for it, Vicky. It's starting to come off. That's good news. I'm in a bit of a profit there. CAD not, because the CAD had got a little bit higher. I forget what got the CAD, but a bit higher than that anyway. Microsoft, is it coming off? A little bit, but at least it's coming off. NAS has come off a bit, so maybe it's starting to wake up and say, hang on. Let's go the way Roger wants it to go, and trade you met people there, traders. It is indeed one dealy, hey. Well, that's starting a bit of good news. How did you go in your trade, by the way, Mara? I think you went for EuroCAD or one of them. I think you're there, aren't you? How did you go with that? I think you're doing okay at one stage. In the red. I give in the red. It's come off. You just join the GBP USD, should be going okay. Unless you're talking about the EuroCAD, I didn't know you went into that. I know Morris did. Or he said he did anyway. Where's the EuroCAD doing? I'm talking about it. Oh, you got it up here. Not sure you bought it or sold it. I think it's going to go up. I'm just scared at the moment. I think the euro is very strong. Go on.
I'm trying to decide if I should close the trade now on GBP.
GBP USD.
Yes, sir.
It's hardly been it long, but obviously worrying you. It's battling to break through 1.23. Look at your dollar index. It's still showing green. Maybe it'll break through this time. I can't make that call, as you know.
Yeah.
But break through. I keep mine open, whether that's right or wrong. I could have taken in a lot of them this morning. Drink, well, even last night, famously. I decided to hold them, didn't do me any favors. But anyway, yeah, I still think there's a chance of it coming down. Just hope it does, if you're staying with it. That's always your decision. Difficult to say. Okay. Maybe get it pulled back in gold now. It's reacting a little bit. What's the yields doing? No, yields coming off a bit. Yields coming off, dollars going up. It's a bit of a contradiction, eh? So what else is new? I still think there's a possibility these banks are going to come off. Don't jump in yet. That's just a feeling I've got. We haven't got rid of this banking situation. There's no. And as that article says, don't forget, the banks get worried. They start putting interest rates and getting a lot more circumspect on their lending. And that has a detriment account on the economy because people don't buy stuff. Okay. Far from over, Kerry, far from over. And so don't forget, the biggest problem now is guys can just press a button and get the money out. And that's what causes these massive runs. And I mentioned before, talk about JP Morgan, the Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, says we're a major economic tsunami waiting to happen. I agree. We can take advantage of it. We're on board and when it comes off. Which it might say when it should do. I don't know why it shouldn't. Okay, so I'm waffling a bit because I haven't really got much else to add. You all got my number. If you haven't got my number, just let me know and I'll pop it on the chat line for you, my WhatsApp number. But don't ask me what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes because I'm not about sure as you are. Yeah. The only good thing is to know you've realized, hang on, I'm not the only one. It's not your fault, sort of thing. Yeah, Brent's popped up again. Leave it alone. You might good chance getting 80 the way it's going. So there it is. Keep it on gold. Comes back. Look at an opportunity there. I think we can get a decent high probability. No. No. That comes down a bit more. I'm still looking to buy this. I think the euro is doing okay at the moment. Things change, hey? AUD, USD, we talked about that. Popped, actually, we did talk about, forgot about that. I'm just trying to get a better price. It's nearly there. Top of the dollar's strengthening a bit. Now, leave it. Need confirmation on that. Okay, hang in there. Okay, Anne-Marie. Well, oh, definitely hang in there. I enjoy it. I'm okay, Jack. Don't worry about me. I'm worried for you guys. I'm quite happy. I'm disappointed for you guys. It's frustrating. Theory, that should be a cell there. In theory, technically speaking, that's a cell. Look at earlier on. I didn't stumble on an accident, by the way. I looked at earlier on. Just worry about the dollar strengthening, the yen start to weaken a bit. But in theory, that's a sell. That's a very, very good example. 50-day moving average. Sellers came in right on that support line there. I don't think you're going to get a fib. I'll try. I don't think you will. Nearly a fib. Hang on. You're right. Nearly on a fib there as well, a 38.2 fib. That, technically speaking, that's a sell. I'm just worried about the dollar yen, nothing to do with the technicals. That's what worries me at the moment. I think the yen is overcooked and the US dollar's undercooked, basically. But take that out of the equation, that is a sell. A fib, a 50-day moving average, and a strong right of support. 3 distinctive, powerful ones. Then you look for confirmation, maybe a 50-minute candle. I haven't got one yet, never mind an hour candle. But you need maybe an hour candle confirmation. That, in theory, would have been a sell. That's the putting in, that's not a trend line, by the way, that's just putting in the film, that line there. But it's practically at that level as well, as you can see. Take my point, guys. You can see that. All see what I'm talking about, especially on the weekly. Sorry, on the weekly. You can't see much on that, can you? That's a bit better. Weekly, same thing. Remember, it's a 10-week moving average. Throw that into the mix. Another one. The indicators are all telling you there. Have to fell, eh? What do you think, Mundler? Are you also worried about the dollar yen, the two countries involved I'm talking about? Or are you going to go on the technical side there and look at that as a sell? What does anyone think of that? Okay, Mark, got a duck, fair enough. Hope your son's okay. I think you're visiting the hospital. Hope he's okay.
I agree with you. The technical show it's a sell, but I'm a little bit concerned.
That's my problem. So I'm not pushing it on. I'll be leaping on it with extreme enthusiasm.
Okay, cheers, Mark.
Oh, okay.
Strong, say.
Say again, sorry?
No, I see Mark is leaving. I said strongs for him and the family.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so there it is. Anyone overcome that worry having the dollar yen thing and look at the technicals? Say solid. The technicals are what they are, is what they are. Anyone want to say, right, I'm going to go with the technicals?
Can we reassess tomorrow morning? I would like to see what will happen during the night, please.
You swayed me on that. I like it. I like it. Plus, I'm looking at the DXY on my other screen there, and it's continuing upwards. So that shifted off the fence. Personally, I'm definitely going to take this one out, and that's shifted me. Wait on this and see if the technicals take over. And we've got plenty of downside to chase, if you know. So let's just do that. Let's not get too cute with these funny carries on here. Agreed. Okay, so we'll move on from that. What has happened to yields? We'll check the yields again. I put them on. I think we've all got the yields. I'll put it on for you guys, just in case you haven't. There you are. What was I going to say? Yeah, the yields come off a bit, so it's going opposite direction. They go in tandem. So that's usually good for gold, but a strong dollar is bad for gold. You know, it's a bit of a push and pull situation. It's coming off a bit, gold. So maybe we get some movement on this. What's it doing back up all over the basis thing? Thought it might get a run at last. GBP, is it anywhere near breaking through? No, you see, the dollar's going up. Got nothing to do with the yields. The dollar's going up. Why is it? Why isn't it breaking? Anyway, it's starting to show a bit of a profit. Let's look at the bright side. Okay, guys. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm quite happy. Don't get me wrong. I'm just a bit frustrated. That's all. And I suppose everything's comparative. Load shedding's have been only coming on for 2 hours today, and very little yesterday at the weekend, down to level 1. So maybe just grab on some positive stuff there.
They increased the staging from tomorrow again.
Is it? What's it back to tomorrow? 2 or 3, or what's it tomorrow?
3.
3, okay. Got so used to it now, you forget that if you have only 2 hours, you think you've had a good day.
You're right. So if I remember to brush my teeth, I also have a good day.
I'm sure your wife would remind you. This is another one I'm trying to short, but didn't seem to come to the party. That's another one. I was happy to short down there at one stage, or even this level here. And I thought, funny market this just as well. But I personally think if this breaks through here, I think there's a good chance. If that opens up below here tomorrow, I'd like to have a look at that and write that down as a reminder. I think that might still be a possibility. We'll see if that holds or not. But I'm too scared to buy it because at the moment that's the buy. You know what I mean? It's come through there. It's in the buy zone. We tested it. It held. The buyers came in. That's the buy. But I'm not so sure I'll be buying the pound sterling Swiss franc at the moment. Here's another one. Technically speaking, that's the buy, and the dollar yen's the sell. Just the other stuff. And like I said just now, the American guy saying some funny whatever he is, saying that it's the technicals is taking back step to the fundamentals at the moment, which is very frustrating. A few years ago, that wouldn't have thought about it. That'd be a buy, that'd be a sell, and away you go. And a very high probability to come right. This, I think, is so we're not in the woods with the banks yet. I think this has got a good chance of coming off at some stage. Goldman Sachs, same story. Ignore this, as I said before, that's just a glitch in the system. I think these are setting up to come off as well. So there's a few there if we get some sense going. Okay, guys, a lot of you have already left, but not surprised, a bit frustrating. I hope you're not too bored. Hope we've got some value, if nothing else. I've not much else to add. Anything else you'd like to know? Anything I can help with? Some of the newer guys there, Madiri, I'm not your snow, you've been a few times. Any questions you're not sure about? Maybe get a strong cup of coffee for the market and wake them up a bit. But apart from that.
No, I must really thank everybody for lending an ear, because I think I was quite negative starting the session, but through all, I'm feeling much better because I'm not the only one that have the same issues or problems.
Yeah, I'm afraid to say I 100% agree on that. What I'm trying to get at is we need to release it, and that's hopefully what the family's for, the trading family's for. And the trouble is, I think people confuse being positive with brushing under the carpet reality. I mean, you don't want to go around with a bloody face like can't think of it, well, I can, it's rather rude, but you know, grumpy all the time. I get that, and then no one want to be around a person negative all the time. But you know, one's have to face up and think, well, let's just share this. And it can be quite, it can come out feeling just you said there. Sharing it is saying, well, we're all sort of getting a bit frustrated, to say the least. So yeah, this obsession with this American idea of positive, I think it leads to burying things under the carpet and not facing up to them. That's not being positive, that's avoiding it. And then you can control it better, in my opinion, anyway. I'm not down, I'm quite happy actually. I'm just a bit frustrated, that's all. I've had such a good run the last couple of years and got rather used to it. It's like we got used to electricity and suddenly get an hour's load shedding and you think it's inconvenience. I'm definitely going to do it, yeah, after the session's finished, yeah. As Mark said, he's left now. He says, I'm not surprised. I haven't looked at it, but if there's some sort of corruption involved, I wouldn't surprise me. Once you get big money, always going to get corruption, always. Okay. So that Dolly Kane's coming out too. Trying to. And there's another one's NZD Cal, I think, another one. No, I'm still in it. What's that doing?
Just got disconnected, but I'm back. So.
Okay. Well, it's not the profit yet, but I'm hoping, keep my fingers crossed on that. Well, I'm not going to breathe at the moment, but there's a bit of support there. Maybe get a bounce. Yeah. Well, this is exactly it. Rolling back the Stone Age, exactly. That's the problem with today's people. They got so used to all this technology and fridges and all the rest of it. They survived well a few hundred years ago without it. Now we've got so used to it, and it's taken away. We're helpless. I don't think any of us could survive long if we went to a time machine, went back 500 years. It wouldn't last very long. No toothpaste, no proper loos, all long drops, no toilet paper, no soap. Didn't even know what a germ was. You know, have your arm cut off, get gangrene, no anesthetic, go to the dentist, pulled out when you're wide awake. That would last very long.
Maybe we'll become physically more strong than anything else.
Well, that's where they were. They're incredibly tough, incredibly tough. Technology, unfortunately, has not always made people happier, but it's certainly made them a lot softer, that's for sure. How many guys can cope for 24 hours without the cell phone? I've seen guys walk across the road looking at their sodding cell phone, yeah? The other aspect years ago was that the men went to war and got, I'm surprised anyone survived it, killing each other off in war, and the women in childbirth, because they didn't have modern medicine at all. And the problems in childbirth was hectic. Is it? Let's check it. Let's check it then. Yeah, it's starting to come back again. Now it's up $1,000, but at least it's coming back again. Good. That's a bit of good news. Thank you, Karen. You usually cheer us up. I think even the bloody Delta Force, the SAS, would battle 500 years ago, to be honest. Conditions, in the Napoleonic Wars, getting off the subject a bit, probably boring a bit. There's more death and disease than enemy action. You know, they crap and eat, but not so much the English, but certainly the French, crap and then start getting stuck into their food with dirty fingers, right by it, sort of thing. I mean, it's horrendous. But really, if you don't mind me shocking you a little bit and you can take it, days of Versailles, you know, the Sun King Louis XIV, it took an age to dress them with all their servants, you know, the rich, the nobles there. So they wander around partying all day. Of course, it didn't work. They lived off the taxpayer, you know? But it takes too long to take all the clothes off and go to the loo. So they literally crapped and peed in their bloody gear, and then the servants took it off and washed it that night, sort of thing. So walked down half the day with soiled clothes that soiled. That's fact. Can you imagine, eh? And that's for baths. Most, especially the working class, never had a bath in their entire life.
It's amazing. It's like babies with wet nappies.
Why do they have nappies then? And kids were hanged for stealing. That's only a couple of 100 years ago. I'm not talking 1,000 years ago. If you're 8 years or 10 years, you're caught stealing a loaf of bread, you're either sent to Botany Bay, Australia, in the horrendous conditions in the passage there, or they actually literally hanged you. So, don't get too nostalgic in the past, I tell you. Thank God for modern medical technology. Sure. Can't imagine going to the dentist, or can you imagine amputation? Napoleonic Wars, and they go and they start chopping their legs off and they're wide awake. Half of them died in the bloody, and then if they survived that, they used to get gangrene because, of course, it's a filthy bloody sore. You know nothing about germs. Unbelievable. Anyway, I'm waffling a bit. Anything else we'll discuss? We're here trading room, not a Roger waffle. No, tell you, NK, no. That's just going back to waffle again. I was watching on YouTube about a couple of years ago, or whatever. Say you think you're nostalgic and the fantasy world of the Middle Ages. They took us through what it's like living in a castle then. The servants didn't have bedrooms, just slept anywhere in whatever they could find. Cold floors, freezing bloody cold, no proper heating. It was all, light a candle job. Most of them couldn't afford that either. And 7 days a week. And they deduct their pay if they take a couple of hours off, virtually squat. In fact, you remember the Titanic sank, and that was just 100 years ago. The musicians, famous musicians, they asked their loved ones, their wives or whatever, hard to cough up because they lost their gear when it sank. And the guys' family were only paid half pay because they didn't arrive and they didn't do a full bloody trip's work. So the guys that sank on there, the company didn't even pay them out the full pay, they paid them half pay. Can you imagine what the unions make of that today, eh? Anyway, guys, shall we wrap it up? Because I'm waffling a bit and don't think anything else I can educate. There's only a couple of people, about a dozen people left. Just quickly check, is the US dollar? No, it's just hovering, but it's trying to come off and give you a due. NAS is hovering as well, waiting for direction, like we all are, waiting for direction. So maybe we'll get it. I hope so. Just before we go, I just want to check tomorrow's economic calendar for you. Just see anything big coming tomorrow. Jobless claims, don't forget the weekly jobless claims that always comes up on Thursday. Don't forget, not this Friday, Friday week, Good Friday. If you want to join me, we'll put out adverts for it and reminders or whatever the word is. For it, I'll be doing a sort of a trade with them for NFP session just before 2, about 2:15. I'll be online for 2:30 release, and on the following week on Wednesday for CPI. Bear that in mind. We'll tie in your knot or in your calendar or whatever. And for tomorrow, what have we got on tomorrow? Let's have a look. What's happening tomorrow? Anything big coming up? Bank of England inflation, chit chat on that. Something on the German CPI is coming out. GDP on the USD coming out should be of interest, as well as initial jobless claims. Oh yes, don't forget tomorrow, interest rate decision. They're expecting 0.25%. It's 7.25 now. They're expecting to go to 7.50, 7.5. That doesn't affect the world markets much, but at least affects us here, so we know about that. So, Roger's question, what do the big banks do in case of this, where things are like they do? Do they influence the way? Actually, you understand? By the big banks, what they do. If the big banks are suffering a bit, remember talking about the bond buying, and now paper's actually devalued, and the high interest rates, and they're worried about guys paying back loans. Not only they might charge a higher interest for those loans, it's up to the bank, that's their choice, they have that right. And they often will turn down a loan that might have been granted not so long ago. They're tightening that up. That's when they start tightening up the lending, it means people can't buy products. I won't buy $10 products. I'm talking about, we start getting a few $1,000 round or whatever. They can't buy it because they can't afford the extra deposit and which they might have to put in, and the higher interest rate, or it's not granted the loan, and then they can't buy the products. The business suffers, and the guys don't sell their product. That's how it affects everybody. And don't think just by government stepping in, looking after depositors, and which is a good thing, I suppose. Yeah, great, creates a bit more liquidity, but the banks still go under, the shareholders go under. They lost, no recompense for them, and the banks don't like it. They're licking their wounds at the moment. And I bet there's a few other there's a bit shaky, but we don't know about as well. Hope that makes a bit of sense. Just remember, we live on debt. So you start taking away that debt's a problem. I'll tell you right now, if they abolish debt, the house prices would tank. Your £1 million house probably worth about 100 grand. Okay, guys, I'm shouting this about it. Maybe we should just wrap it up. Thank you again for supporting us, and then hopefully get something going tomorrow. A few fundies coming out, but maybe we'll make a plan around that. Just hope we get some sense coming out during the evening. Keep the fingers crossed. Remind me, US dollar yen. We'll have a look at it again tomorrow and see what's happening. Check that out and see what's happening there. Thank you for support, as always. I enjoy it because you make it enjoyable. I do thank you, and I mean that. And yeah, well, capture those can make it. And maybe have the big smile back on the face. Okay. Cheers, guys.
Indeed, Mr. Rogers.
Thank you.